Hi. Okay, it's 7:30, so I think we will start. If you have a question, let me see if there's any question already. No, there's no question. Don't forget to leave your name and why you came. Hope you had a whole wonderful spring break. Okay, so today we will just cover a little bit of lipid and the protein from the 2 weeks ago because the final is comprehensive as you know, so I think it will still be good to review them and make sure that you know things for sure. So let's go to the slide. As you listen, if you have a question, please let me know, and let me share the screen. Okay. Oh, and I just saw one person leaving like their name and why they came on the the announcement page. So like whenever I send the announcement that TA hours starting here with 7:30 whatever, I saw one person leaving it under my announcement, and I can't really I sometimes I see them, but there's a chance that I miss those comments. So please leave your comments and questions on this Q&A option on Google Plus, or leave it on the chat, Canvas chat. Then I will be able to see them and answer your question. Okay, let's start. Um, Ketone and ketosis. So like I said, we're gonna finish the last part in of lipid. So ketones is the incomplete breakdown of fat. So when we don't have enough glucose because our some parts of our body like brain needs glucose. So when there's no glucose, we have something a backup because our brain cannot just shut down, right? So with the lipid that we have, like the lipid that we have stored, or lipid that we just ate, or whichever, our body makes ketone and use that, and it works well, except ketone is acid, and our body needs to have this like pH of about 7, right, to stay neutral, and we don't want things to our blood go acid, and that will destroy cells and stuff like that. So if we have keto so if we have if we get if we use ketone as fuel for too long, then that's not very good. So when do we get genesis? So genesis is make, like to create, right? So when do we create ketones? Is if you have uncontrolled diabetes, if you didn't eat anything for a long time, including protein and carbohydrate, then you don't have glucose, and you will make ketone because you will use your fat storage as a fuel, or if you just don't eat much carbohydrate. The sources of fatty acids are those, we already know that. To reduce the meat, fat in the meat, you can just drain those meat or fat, or you can pick rounds or sirloin, part of beef, then it's lean meat. Okay, I'm not gonna go over this. Um, 1 second. Okay, yeah, that's great. Sydney says she's here because she wants to catch up. because she missed the class. I mean, you can still watch the class recording on, I think it's under module. So that's a great way to catch up. Or I do a review here, so that's a great way too. So okay. Okay, protein. Now we will talk about protein. Protein is used in many different ways in our body. So just read this through. You don't probably need to memorize it. I don't think she tested you on this, but it's good to know that you might get some test questions on final on like uses of protein, uses of fat, or uses of carbohydrate. So just read them through. Oh, by the way, since you're here, I'll tell you. I talked to Dr. Wengreen and she said the exam 3 that's coming up in 3 weeks or something. She's gonna try to weigh more on the class stuff than the learn smart stuff. So I mean, it's still a great idea to review your learn smart assignments and go through the questions and practice tests and stuff like that. But she will do more questions from the lecture that wasn't covered from Learn Smart assignment or the book, I guess. So be sure to watch the session if you miss the class and be sure to take good notes of it. And especially if she mentions something like, oh, this is not in your book, but we will cover, then be sure to know that because she wants to do more questions from the lecture. Hey, carbohydrate, lipid, and protein. So we know carbohydrate has this glucose, the unit, and lipid has different kinds of fatty acids. Proteins have different kinds of amino acids, and there are 20 of them, and we will talk about it. So this amino acids, one amino acid is one unit, and then when they are chained like this, it becomes the chain here, the connection, we call this a peptide bond. So the characteristic of amino acids, it has, I'm just gonna go to the next slide to show you the picture. So it has this amino group, then it is amino acid. 99%, not always, but for this class, as soon as you see this amino group, you know it's amino acid. And here's the acid group. This is the center carbon anchor, and this is the R group. So amino acids have this amino group, this carbon and acid group. Those will be the same, but this R group will be different among different 20 amino acids. So these are those 20 amino acids. She said that you will have to memorize this. If you continue to study nutrition, biology, or even chemistry, you will see this over and over. So I like memorize them, and then as soon as the final's over, I forget them completely. And then I take another biochemistry class, or another biology class, and they force you to memorize it again. So I memorize it again, and then I forget completely at the end of the semester. So you kind of have to do that 2-3 times, but it gets easier because you repeat. But yeah, so um, sorry, there is someone asking if there's a link working. Um, so she's not in the chat right now. So if she comes back, I might have to pause and give her the link. For some reason she, but you guys did, you're here. Okay. I'm gonna actually, sorry, I'm gonna check something really quick. So you both are from, Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna give her the link. She's from the online section. Maybe the online section didn't get my link. So, okay, now she has it, so we can continue here. Where's the slide? Oops. Pretend you didn't see that. Where's the slide? Where did it go? Did I exit out? Here, I'm gonna just open another one. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's go back where we left. Right here. Okay. Yeah, so you have to memorize this. These are essential, these are non-essential, and essential. We talked about this last week. Well, 2 weeks ago, sorry. Essential is just means that we don't make it in our body, but we need them. So we need to take them as food. Non-essential, our body usually makes them. So we don't always need them in through the food. So that's how it classifies too. So like I explained, the amino acids gets this chain and then it becomes protein. Protein has different structures and the structure is important. I think I saw one like practice test on this. I don't remember. That was like 2 weeks ago, right? So um, if it's just linear like this, it's primary structure. If it is, what is it? If it is coiled like this, it's secondary structure. If it's all like, I don't know, it got all together, it's not just coiled, but it got all this mess, then it's tertiary structure. And when we have more than one tertiary structure together and make a bigger chunk of protein, that is quaternary structure. For example, this one is hemoglobin, and now this is functional and it can do its job. So those are four structures of protein. And when the structure gets, we'll talk about it a little later, but when the structure gets destroyed because of acid or heating or because of physical agitation, whatever, then it can lose its function too. So the structure is important. Okay, DNA. So DNA is important, obviously, and it is um, made by protein, right? I'm gonna check something really quick. We usually have people from online section, but today I don't see any. So I'm just gonna double check if the link was delivered fine. And I think I did. I think we just don't have many online people today. We just have people from section 4. That's okay. So DNA has our genes, right? So it's made of protein. So that's why we're talking about it right now. DNA are so DNA has genes, and the genes have 4 kinds of code, which is A, T, G, G, C. So adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. Uh, okay, this is fun part. Okay, so DNA is a protein, right? And also it has genes in it, and the function of the genes here in DNA is to produce different kinds of protein that will do different function in our body, right? So in the beginning of the slides, we saw so many different functions of protein. So DNA orders those. So DNA writes orders, I guess, and then we will grab different kinds of amino acids and using those recipe and make that specific protein that we need for the enzyme or immune system or our cell and structure and stuff like that. So I'm gonna explain this to you. We had this in the practice exam, so I'm pretty sure you saw this in the exam, and you'll probably see this in the final too, because it's a basic and important concept. It starts, so we have DNA here, and when it needs to start writing the order to make new kinds of protein, it will do a process called transcription. So transcription means written of something, right? So it writes something, and when it writes something, it becomes mRNA. So when it writes a message, that message becomes a messenger RNA, and it leaves the cell, and then it goes into a cytoplasm that's just outside of the cell, and then grabs this ribosome, and ribosome works as a translator, you can think of, and then when this messenger RNA goes into ribosome like this, you see in this picture, the tRNA, so transfer RNA, will go and grab whatever the amino acid that's needed according to how it is translated through ribosome. And then they will bring one by one, and they will make this all chain, and then it becomes peptide chain, which is protein. And this protein now has specific function that this DNA ordered to do. So it will flow to wherever it needs to go and then do its work. So that's the whole story. It starts with transcription and then translation. So it can be a little bit tricky, but transcription, you write something to order, you write a recipe, whatever, and then this ribosome comes and help translate what it means. So this transfer RNA can grab those amino acids and make protein. Did it make sense? Hopefully it did. And this is just another picture that talks about the same process. So I will skip this, except I don't know if you need to know this, but this messenger RNAs, 3 of them becomes one unit, and we call this codon. It's like code, like computer code. So how it gets translated is that ribosome and transfer RNA, so tRNA, says this 3 letter, and then that's how they know which amino acid to grab. So they look at this and they grab the amino acid according to this code, and that's how we have the protein. I don't know if you need to know that, but it is important, so that's why I mentioned it. This sickle cell, as you can see, it looks different, right? So the structure of the protein is lost, and then the function of this cell is also lost because of the structure is destroyed or its dysfunction. So that's the example of why the structure of protein and why the structure of protein is important and why we need to keep it as it is. Gene expression and stuff like that. So sometimes what we eat regulates the gene expression, that's all it's saying. And nutrigenomics is just a study that explains how diet and different nutrients are related to the health and disease. I don't think you need to know this so much about it. So when we know so much about those, then we can personalize our nutrition, because we all have different genes, we all look different. So we don't probably need the same thing. So that's the future of nutrition right now. Okay, protein digestion. So When we eat protein, what do we start with? When you have egg, when you have chicken or fish, what do you start with? You cook, right? So when we cook, we denature them. But we still have amino acids in there, right? So we denature and we still have amino acid, but this is a one way of our body to use protein. So one way is to either deaminate or transaminate it. So I don't think she went into too much details of this, but deamination just means you will detach the amino part of the protein, and the rest of this carbon, the R group, and the acid part, they can all be used as energy. They can either go back, become glucose, and be stored. They can be stored as lipid, or they can be used as energy. So that's one way. And transamination is just that the the R group part gets switched with another amino acid, and so because the other kind of amino acid is needed because DNA needed certain types of amino acid, we don't have enough, then we just switch the R group of another amino acid that we have plenty of so that we can meet the demand and supply. I don't think she went into so much detail of it, so I'm just gonna explain it till there. If you are confused, have a question, let me know, and I can maybe like try to find a picture of it or something to help you understand. Okay, if we eat too much protein, do we get fat? Yes, we do. And like we see in this calculation here, if you are 180 pounds, which many of females are not even that much, right? Um, you need only 51 grams, and that's about 2 ounces of meat. So if you can think of a deck of cards, the thickness and the size, everything, that's about 3.5 ounce. So you need like half of that of protein. So we don't need so much. We don't need that much protein in our body actually. So Americans are usually eating plenty of protein. And if we eat too much, these are the risk, risks of eating too much protein. You can have high saturated fat and cholesterol because you usually get protein from animal source. You can have weight gain, or if your kidney is not doing very well, and then if we eat too much protein, it stresses the kidney more, and then the function of kidney can go down and stuff like that, and that's not very good. Benefits: if you are athletes, then you work out, and then that's the way you we make the muscle. So and then also because you work out so much, we need some repairs on the muscle too, right? So athletes need a little bit more protein. You don't need tons more, but you probably need twice more of what, maybe even lesser, maybe the twice the maximum probably amount of protein. And also if you have, oh, so this part, it's talking about if you have diabetes. So if you have diabetes and you eat sugar, it makes the blood glucose level peak so high. But if you eat candy with protein, for example, like eat candy with peanut butter, then it helps the peak to be not as high, so it helps control the blood glucose level if you have diabetes. And also protein helps with satiety. So normally if you only eat carbohydrate, even though it's the same calorie you would eat, if you were eating protein together, you won't feel as full as you eat the protein together. So it helps with the satiety. This was in the practice exam, huh? So I don't know. Yeah. So like milk is a great source of protein. You can just read it through. As you can see here, legumes and grains and some vegetables, they also have protein. So even if you're vegetarians, you can have protein. It's just that it's not as readily available like people who also eat meat, animal meat, right? Also, um, you did this in your MBA assignment, complementary protein. If you eat animal food, the protein has all 9 essential amino acids, so it's a better source of protein. But oh sorry, so Sydney had a question. I always heard that coconut oil is really good for you in many different ways, but I think it was on the practice test that it was said it was actually really high in cholesterol. That is not correct. Coconut oil doesn't have cholesterol because cholesterol is a type of fat that's only found in animal. And coconut is not an animal, right? So it doesn't have cholesterol. But probably what you saw is coconut oil is high in saturated, no, not saturated fat. Yes, it is high in saturated fat. Um, so, however, people say coconut oil is really good for you, and Dr. Langren talked about it in the class last time when we talked about lipid, not protein, but lipid a week before. Coconut oil has a short chain of fatty acids. So even though it has a lot of saturated fat, which is known to be known to increase the risk of heart disease, because it has a short chain, sometimes it helps with the metabolism and stuff like that. So that's where it gets claimed. But there's more study needed, and it's not 100% proven. So we don't still know. But that's where people say coconut is. Um, So when you combine these protein sources from different like vegetable or grain and stuff like that, even if it's incomplete, you can make into a complete protein, and that's called complementary proteins, right? You did this in your assignment, so you probably know this well. You also did this in your assignment. You know, vegetarians are risk at those things, so if you are a vegetarian, you want to make sure you are eating a source of food that has those nutrients or eat multivitamins or something to help you be healthy. This is just different types of vegetarians. If you're vegan, you're strictly vegetarians, but lacto-vegetarian drinks milk to help to get some animal protein. Ovo-vegetarians eat eggs. Lacto-ovo-vegetarians eat eggs and milk but no meat. Okay, I think this is probably last thing that I want to cover, I think. So marasmus is when you are just starving. It's a chronic condition. It's been there for a long time. That's what chronic means. And so you don't have protein, you don't have any calorie. But kwashiorkor, I don't know how to pronounce it, but this one is the acute condition. You can, it's just for a little amount of time, maybe weeks, days or weeks, you didn't have enough protein in your body. Then, and you can have this, you're thin, but your belly is really swollen. So I'm not gonna do that. The question is all about, I mean, the answer is all about the difference here. Like I said, it's listed here already. Edema is just swelling. If you don't have enough protein, our body, the osmotic stuff in our body gets all messed up and brings more water into the cell. So that's why you get swelling. Oh, food allergy. Actually, we're gonna talk about this too. We're gonna be a couple minutes over. So, food allergies happen when our body appropriately sees allergen, which is protein, like protein in our food as like harm. And so you get different signs and symptoms like this here. You can read it through. This is common food that can cause allergy. And celiac disease is a little different from allergy. Celiac disease is not an allergy response to gluten. It is actually autoimmune disease. So autoimmune means you ourself attack like we attack ourselves. That's what it means. And when it's just when you eat something that contains gluten, it damages the small intestine and it like wipes out. So and then it grows back, but it's painful when it wipes out, and when it's wiped out, our body cannot absorb like nutrients as well, and you can have risk for that and stuff like that. And so you want to make sure you avoid gluten free. I mean gluten food, and you want to eat gluten free food. So these are signs and symptoms. It's not fun to have celiac disease. And these are just list of stuff that you want to avoid if you have celiac disease. And these are the things that's safe to eat. This was in the exam also, right? Okay, that's all I have. Um, I don't think I have any more questions, so I'm gonna stop there. Hopefully it kind of helped you to. Oh, where am I? Hopefully it helped you to kind of review, and now you have better understanding of cooking. If you have any more questions, just email me, and I'll be happy to answer your question. Okay, thank you. Bye.